DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, we're not done. You get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves anybody out there, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one streamlined process, one philosophy. We have codified our entire system. You can follow it from top to bottom and apply it to what you do. We have a daily masterclass. We have a university. You listen to the daily masterclass. We got a hardcover book as well. And all of it is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today we are on Volume 5, answering questions from the Prairie High Entrepreneurship class students. So thank you again, students, for the questions. Let's get right into it. Question number 28. What are some specific strategies you may use to solve problems you encounter? Wow. Well, I use a whole lot of different strategies to solve problems, and there are some master classes that I've done already. And for anyone who doesn't understand the lingo, when I say master classes, I'm referring to episodes of this show here. I know most people call these shows podcasts. We call it a podcast just when I need to speak to someone so they understand what I'm talking about. But this here is a master class. It is not just a podcast. The podcast is just some free stuff that people get on the mic and just talk some shit and then slap it up online and say, hey, go listen to my podcast. This is a master class. We put time in, we put detail into this. So anyway, answering your question. Episode number 1343, I did a episode called How to Solve the Problems and Add Value. And again, you can refer yourself to any of these episodes by going to workonyourgamepodcast.com. You also can go to DreAllDay.com and just type in the number of the episode in the search bar, and this will come up. So again, that's 1343, How to Solve the Problems and Add Value. Episode number 1116, if you're facing a problem with another person, the other person is not the problem is you. And yes, I will explain counterintuitively why that is true. That's episode 1116. Episode 1049, there are no unsolvable problems. So this is a mentality around dealing with the problems that you are facing in life and what to do with it. Episode 793, the problem is not the solution. Oftentimes, the same thing that causes the problem is not the thing that is going to solve it. So sometimes we try to solve the problem by doing just kind of reversing whatever happened. That's usually not the thing that's going to fix it. In other words, like someone's really negative towards you, the solution to fixing that is not to be negative towards them. All right, that doesn't work. So sometimes in life you need a different solution than the problem that actually presented itself in the first place. Episode number 781. If you keep having the same problem, you are the problem. Episode 781, again, you keep having the same problem, you're the problem. One thing that any of you who is new to this masterclass or new to me is going to learn, that everything that we do here, we always bring it back to the individual. We don't focus on what other people are doing. We always bring it back to what we can do and what we can control, and we can't control other people. So we always bring it back to ourselves. Episode number 767, how to promote yourself by solving problems. So if you want to advance in life, you do need to solve problems. In episode number 570, the real problem is that you don't know the problem. Many times we are solving problems that is not even the actual issue that we need to solve. You're solving the symptoms, but not the actual root cause. You're going to keep having the symptoms pop up over and over again. Episode 541, problem solving means going to the source of a situation, not just dealing with the symptom, but again, going to the source of the situation and figuring out where it actually began. Now, I know this question was, what are some specific strategies you may use to solve problems you encounter? It's hard to say a specific strategy when the question is general. So if someone is asking me for a specific strategy, you had to give me a specific issue. So I can't really be too specific in answering this question because the question is very broad and general. So if whoever it was that asked this question, if you want me to give you a specific strategy to solve a problem, then send me a text. 305-384-6894. That's my text number. Text me there. Tell me what the specific problem is. I will give you some specific solutions, but I can't solve something general with specificity. Is that right? Specificity? And I can't solve something specific with something general. So we got to make sure that we're matching there. So that's a situation where the solution and the problem can match, at least in that sense. So let's move on to question number 29. Again, we're answering questions from the entrepreneurship class at Prairie High. Dre, how have you bounced back from failure and leveraged it into something positive? Well, man, I think a lot of the questions that I've answered here have pretty much given you that. One thing that I have always done, since I'm a competitive person, I come from the sports background, I'm a male, I come from an environment where it was, to say, actually part of it is survival code for males in the environment that I come from, to have some level of aggression. I think I naturally have a certain amount, and you got to have some to be, especially in the athletic world. Athletics is competition, and you do need to be aggressive to be successful in sports, and being aggressive also in life, because the definition of aggressive is to be forcefully going after something. There's nothing wrong with that. So one of the things that I've always used to bounce back from failure or setbacks or anything that would cause me any type of disappointment is I would double down on the aggression and go back at whatever that challenge was. I did that in the basketball world, and that was kind of what got me known out there in the space, and all the things that I learned from that and the things that I would talk about led to what I do now as an entrepreneur. So how have I bounced back from failures and leveraged it into something positive is figure out what the reason was that I came up short and get aggressive in going after the solution, or employing the solution, deploying the solution, and then making it happen. So that's always kind of been my default response to those type of challenges, at least when I was playing sports. That's how I was able to do it, leveraging that failure into something positive. And then also these days, being that I found myself in a position of teaching a lot to people how they can deal with the setbacks that they face, and using myself as an example. Also, we got to make sure that you are looking in the mirror. And one of the things that I find an episode where I talked about this, that was episode number 1153, the mirror and the window, which is all about leadership. And I tell people that when you're in a situation, a challenging situation, and things are not quite working the way that you wanted them to, the people who are going to end up coming up short, they look out the window. And you know what happens when you look out of a window. I'm looking out of a window right now. You see everything that's going on outside of you. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? You see yourself. So leaders always look in the mirror. So even at the times that I failed and times that I came up short and I wasn't getting the results that I got, I never have blamed them on anyone else in the situations. I never blamed them on another person for doing what they did or feeling how they felt. Even if I feel like they were wrong, it was, I'm the one who ended up suffering because of it, then that means there's something I could have done differently. So even when I talk about college and not being on the team, my last year and a half on the team, I wrote about it in my book, Work on Your Game, how if I was more mature and I knew then what I know now, I might have handled that situation differently and not ended up off of the basketball team, because I would have handled it in a different way. So even though I do think the coach didn't quite know his stuff as well as he could have, and the way his coaching career bared out pretty much proved that, and the fact that I did know what I was doing in my playing career, the way that went pretty much proved that as well, doesn't change the fact that I made a mistake in that situation, not understanding the dynamics of what I was dealing with, and I ended up paying for it with my college basketball career. So that was me looking in the mirror. And nowadays, because I have that perspective, I'm able to keep it real with myself in that way. I can keep it real with people like you and tell you, like, yo, you need to look in the mirror. That's not, no, the situation, the problem is not that person. The problem is not the coach. It's not your parents. It's not your teacher. It's you. You need to look at this situation differently, because you're thinking this part right here, and this is the part that you got wrong. And when I tell you the real of that part, sometimes people can't take it. Sometimes people get upset with me when I tell them the truth of what they really need to understand. And I know these days, a lot of times when people are telling you their opinion, they say it's the truth. But when someone else has an opinion that goes against them, they're lying or they're wrong or they're fake news. But I don't have a dog in the race of whether you succeed or not. All right. I tell you the truth of what's going on so that you can better look at it in a more objective way that's actually going to help you, rather than being a bitch and complaining about the situation and making yourself out to be a martyr or a victim, because victims get victimized. So if you are looking to actually get to where you want to go in life, there are times you got to look in the mirror and say, you know what, this is me fucking up. This is me making a mistake. This is me coming up short. This is me that needs to do something different. I need to adjust. It'd be great if they adjust it, but since I can't control whether they adjust or not, let me adjust, because I can control that. So I've always looked at things in life that way, even when I couldn't quite articulate it. Nowadays, I'm pretty good at articulating it, and that's why I do what I do. Moving on to question number 30. We are on volume 5, or just question number 30, of answering these questions from Prairie High School's entrepreneurship class. Number 30. Are you satisfied with where you're currently at, or do you wish to continue to spread your word? Well, I wouldn't call that an either or question. So what I would say, am I satisfied where I'm currently at? I don't know if I would use the word satisfied. What word would I use? I'm proud of where I'm currently at. That'd be the word that I would use. I would say I'm proud of the progress that I've made up to this point, and what I have developed, what I've created, the number of lives that I've touched, and the value that I have put out into the world. I am proud of that. I wouldn't necessarily say satisfied, because satisfied is like When I think of the word satisfied, it's funny because just yesterday, Anna and I were recording, and she showed me this document. It's like a list of like feelings and ways that you can name your emotions. So instead of saying I'm happy or I'm sad or I'm angry, there are like more detailed ways you can describe it that gives you a more nuanced definition of naming your emotions for a different thing that we were recording. And so I definitely wouldn't use the word satisfied, because to me, satisfied means like, it's like somebody just ate a big meal and they're like, all right, I'm good. I'm not hungry anymore. So no, I don't feel that way. I'm still hungry. I still have things that I want to achieve. I still have goals that I want to reach. We still strategize and make plans for the next thing and the next thing that we're going to do out here. And as I told you, I wrote a book where I said you're only a success when you have an ideal and you're going after it. So I can't be contradicting my own book. I already wrote it and sold it. So I can't not live like that anymore unless I write a different book with an update. So satisfied, no. But I am proud of what I've done to this point. I can say that I've done some great things, more than I think anyone would have predicted for me 20 years ago, because again, we didn't know any of this stuff was coming that we currently have. And so instead of the or in your question, I would say, and I wish to continue to spread the word of the work on your game philosophy. And I think it was someone who asked me, I think somebody asked me when I was on the Zoom call, somebody was asking me about being famous and being known. And I said to them, well, look, if you got to ask somebody if they're famous, they're not famous. So I'm not famous because I went to Whole Foods actually this morning and nobody recognized me. So I'm not famous. So I think when you get to the point you can't like go to the mall by yourself, that's when you're famous. So I'm not there yet. And if the work on your game philosophy gets me there, then I'll be happy with that. So I want to continue to spread the word to the point that everybody knows it, the same way that you take something like Nike has, just do it, then work on your game. We want to get it to that level. So when it gets to that level, that's when we know where we're at a place that we want to be at. And maybe then I'll be satisfied, but we're not there yet. So I'm going to keep working. If we never get there, then I just mean I'm going to just keep working. So that's the answer to that question. Question number 31. Topic is I'm answering questions from Prairie High's Entrepreneurship class. Question 31. What was your hardest setback while creating your brand? Man, hardest setback while creating my brand was, it's a good question. Give me a second to think about that. Hardest setback while creating my brand was, I wouldn't even call it a setback. It was the fact that I didn't set out to create a brand. So it wasn't like I said, all right, here I am, Dre, looking in the mirror. No, how do I create a brand? Let's create a brand. What are we going to call it? How are we going to get it known? How are we going to get people to know about us? How am I going to get some traction on the internet? It wasn't like that, because as you already know from the many stories that I told and retold here, it kind of happened organically. Not kind of, it did happen organically. I didn't start out with a strategy, mapping it out like, all right, I'm going to do YouTube and I'm going to post this many videos and we're going to get this many subscribers and then we're going to leverage that into Facebook and then Instagram. It wasn't like that. So I was just doing it because I saw it as a way to pay it forward and help out some people who seem to be underserved in the basketball field. And then that led to people asking me about the mental stuff. That led to me saying work on your game. That led to this brand and led to everything that we have here if we fast forward through the last 16 years. So I didn't really have a hard setback in creating my brand. And the thing is, for me, the focus wasn't about the brand. It wasn't really about the brand ever at any specific point. The focus for me was the business. And there's a difference between the business and the brand. The brand is people knowing your name and having followers on the internet and what Google says about you, and just having the attention and having the fame or the influencer status. That's the brand. That's people knowing about you and your name being out there and you being known. And that's a great thing. I do have a brand. Work on your game is a brand. Dre Baldwin is a brand. I appreciate having those, but I'm more interested in the business. I've always been more interested in the business. Ever since, again, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad way before there was any of these social media platforms, way before I'd even played professional basketball. And in that book, he explained the concept of making money when you're not even at work. That has always been the focus. So in the process of me creating the business opportunity, because I didn't start putting videos on YouTube every day until YouTube said, we'll pay you for having videos and people watching them, because that's how you get ad revenue. The more people watch the video, and then with the relevancy and all of that stuff, that's how you make money. So that's my focus was always on, all right, how do I make the money? Now, while I was focusing on making the money, the brand came about through that. But I am, again, I tell people this, all the time. Like, yes, I am an author. Yes, I am known on the internet and I have some influencer status and I have a brand and people know me, but I am a businessman. I'm a CEO. I am a salesperson. My business is about serving clients, serving customers, giving people 10x the value for what they pay, but creating value and then translating that value into something tangible that people can get something from that's worth 10 times whatever I'm asking them to pay for. That is my business. So if all the branding stuff goes away, if it has no effect on the bottom line of the business, I'm all right with that, because I'm about the bottom line of the business, which is something that crosses that register and you get that little beat. Yeah, that's what we're about here. So building the brand has never been the focus for me, though we appreciate having a brand, and it absolutely does serve the ego to have a brand. I mean, you go somewhere and people do recognize you and they want to take a picture with you and say, wow, I saw Dre Baldwin outside. Yes, that definitely serves the ego, but you can't pay bills with ego. But you can pay bills if you have business going on. So that's always been my focus, is the business. And if you want to be a business person, you better focus on where you're going to get $1 from, not where you're going to get a follower or a subscriber from. Those are two completely different things. Question number 32. I'm answering questions from Prairie High's entrepreneurship class. Number 32, what has been the best reward for all of your hard work thus far? Man, well, I think it's everything. All the things that I've done that are noteworthy. Whether the fact is doing 4 TED Talks or writing 27 books, might be more by the time you hear this. We're working on a few right now. Doing this show, being asked to come and speak to a class of students who are looking to go the entrepreneurship path. Maybe not the same path that I went, but go that entrepreneurship path because somebody sees like, hey, this person definitely has some value. They can articulate it and they are going to keep it real and get his students to something useful. All of those things I think are great rewards. Just the fact that you know you have touched another person's life, or someone feels you could touch somebody's life. That's why they want to have you come in front of their audience, whether that's somebody else with a podcast. I had somebody actually text me at my text number, 305-384-6894. Send me a text and say, hey, I got a podcast. Would you be on my podcast? I said, sure, let's make it happen. So just the fact that people see me as someone who has a message that has either added value to their life already and or they have an audience to which they think I could add value to them as well. So they're interested in having me involved just so we can get that, the message, the value of that message to them. So I think that's one of the best rewards, is just knowing that you're touching other people. And if you really think about it, in business, the only way that you can really earn anything, the way you can get anything, is by helping somebody somehow, somewhat. If you work at an auto body shop, that shop doesn't make any money unless you do something to help somebody with their car. You help them fix the dent, or you help repair the damage, somebody T-bone their car, or whatever it is. Until you help another person, you don't make any money. If you're a life coach, you don't help anyone unless you're helping someone improve their life through coaching them. If you fix broken iPhone screens, you don't make any money until you actually fix a screen and you get it back to like new, how it was before they dropped the phone. So in life, the only way you make money is by helping other people. So I didn't start out trying to help other people, but I realized quickly that that was the only way that money got made. So that's been the best reward, that I can help other people and get paid for it at the same time. Now, we're going to keep going. I actually was going to go into volume 6 here. So we're going to see if we can get all the questions handled through here, volume 5 and volume 6. So we won't have to do 7 volumes. So let's see if we can get more of these done. We'll see how far these take us. Let's go right to question number 33, which would be in volume 6, but we'll shorten this up and make it all fit into 7 volumes. Number 33, again from Prairie High entrepreneurship class. What are some of the more major events that occurred throughout your life that caused you to focus on the mental and motivational side of athletics and life? Great question. What got me focused on the mental and motivational side of athletics and life was the fact that in my mind, I was always interested in back in the days when I used to go in the bookstores. Now we still have some bookstores, but these days, obviously, Amazon sells most of the books. But when I used to go in the bookstores, I was always drawn to 2 sections. First, I would always go in the sports section, naturally, because I was an athlete. But then I would always go into the section they called it human psychology. And then they start calling it self-help. And now I was just in a bookstore today, as a matter of fact, they call it personal growth now. So it was human psychology, self-help, personal growth, / Those are the categories I was always interested in. Any book that I could read that helped me understand more of my mind and the way that I think and the way other people think and why they think that way and how those thoughts lead to actions, those actions lead to results. I was always interested in that. That's how I found my favorite book of all time, Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. I was just browsing the human psychology section, and that's where the book was at. Nowadays, it'll probably be in the business section, or the personal growth section is what they're calling it now. So what occurred I wouldn't even say there was a major event that occurred there. I think that's just part of my wiring as an individual, that I was always interested in that. So when I started going to those network marketing events, like I talked about previously, and they started dropping this phrase called personal development, I said, what do you mean personal development? And then I went and looked at the books and I said, oh, okay. I seen this book called Think and Grow Rich. And the title just tells you exactly what the book is. You change the way that you think and you can get rich. I said, oh, that's interesting. I can do it by doing that. Let me read this book. And that's one of the things that got me into it. Then Robert Kiyosaki was involved in that. Brian Tracy was another person mentioned. There's a guy named Zig Ziglar who got mentioned. There was a guy named Jim Rohn who got mentioned at these network marketing meetings. These things introduced me to personal development. And when I heard it and I saw what it was, I said, yes, this is it. This is the stuff that I've been kind of sort of thinking about that I couldn't really quite explain or understand. And nobody else in my life has ever talked to me about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. When I seen these authors and I seen these books and I saw the tapes and they were even CDs. Back in the day, people just put CDs in their cars and listen to them while they were driving, believe it or not. And I saw that. I said, yes, this is it. This is the stuff that I need to be in. It was already in me. So it wasn't any major event that said, all right, let me focus on mindset. No, it was just who I was as a person. And again, luckily, this confluence of events. I told you so many stories here from my life of things that have happened. And things just happen sometimes, not sometimes, but I think all the times in each one of our lives as individuals, things happen the way that they're supposed to happen. I was wired a certain way and these certain things came into my life. Now, of course, I take advantage of them. I told you all these stories that I took advantage of these opportunities. I didn't miss them. I took advantage of them. And that's how they led to what we have right now. And then just looking at the times in my life when things didn't work, specifically in the sports world, where I didn't make the team all those years, but I kept trying anyway. That was the discipline, the confidence, the mental toughness. It was trying out for a team, even though nobody else came to the tryout. That Sunny Hill tryout with all the superstar players, I was the only nobody guy who even showed up to the tryout. I'm like, why didn't anybody else come to this tryout? This is a Sunny Hill League team. Everybody knows Sunny Hill. Why am I the only nobody guy who came to this tryout? And it's not like they didn't advertise it. I saw it. Nobody called me. I saw the billboard advertisement, not billboard, the bulletin board advertisement. I came. Why didn't anybody else come? I don't know. Personal initiative. People would ask me, Dre, why are you always in an empty gym by yourself? I said, I don't know. I know I'm in the gym. I have no idea where everybody else in the world is at or what they're doing. All I know is I'm in here in the gym. Personal initiative, discipline, showing up. These are just things that I was doing. These were not major events that occurred, that just this inflection point, and all of a sudden I'm thinking about mindset. No, this is just what I was doing already. So when people started asking me about it, like, yo, why do you keep coming to the court to practice, Dre? You didn't make your high school team 3 years in a row. Or Dre, why did you even try out the senior year when you didn't make it your freshman, sophomore, junior year? Or why did you even think you could play college ball when you only played 1 year of high school and you sat on the bench? Or why did you think you could play pro ball when you only played D3 college ball and you didn't even kill it when you were playing D3 college ball? Or why did you even keep posting these videos randomly on YouTube when there was no money to be made, nobody knew who you were, and why were you even doing it? Why even make all these videos every single day? And the answers to those questions was, this is just who I am. Just who I am as a person. So there was no one event. Like I'll say for the third time, it was just what was in me. So when people started asking me questions about these things, I would just start answering. I just started telling them, well, I don't know why nobody else is in the gym. I don't know why I had the crazy idea to try to play pro ball, even though I had a very undecorated career going through college. I don't know why I kept trying in high school, even though I hadn't made the team 3 years in a row. And most people don't make the team once or twice in a row. They quit basketball completely and never play again in their lives. And I know plenty of people from my neighborhood of that exact description. So I can't speak for why other people didn't do it. I can just speak for why I did do it. And in that sense, I guess I was chosen for this role. It was already in me. And then once I was able to articulate it and explain it, now we are where we are here with Work on Your Game. So let's answer, let's see if we do one more. Let's go to question number 34. Answering questions from Prairie High's Entrepreneurship class, number 34. What is your most significant piece of advice for being an entrepreneur and creating a strong brand? Well, that's easy. Anytime somebody asks me my number one piece of advice, the answer is always the same. Work on your fucking game. But I'll give you a little bit more than that. For being an entrepreneur, there's 3 steps. And there are only 3 steps to becoming an entrepreneur. All right. An entrepreneur is a person who starts a business enterprise while taking on risk. Let me make sure I get the definition of entrepreneur. So I'm making sure I'm giving you the right definition here. It says, a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses taking on greater than normal financial risks in order to do so. Or they say a promoter in the entertainment industry. That's another definition of entrepreneur. And the word entrepreneur comes from the French word entreprendre, which means to undertake. And it's from the mid-18th century, denoting a person who undertakes a project. Again, from the French word entreprendre, meaning to undertake. So to be an entrepreneur, there are 3 simple steps. Number 1, you must identify a need that someone out there has, a need or a want that someone has. And that can be you. You can be the person identifying your own need. Number 2, you must either create or obtain access to that need. In other words, you could be for example, Airbnb noted that people needed a place to stay when they traveled. A hotel might not be the best place because maybe they don't have rooms, maybe the hotel costs too much. They obtained access to the solution, which was what? Other people's homes. Now, they didn't own it, but they obtained access to the homes by saying, hey, we had this company called Airbnb. You rent out a room in your house. You get some money, we get some money. Everybody lives happily ever after. So obtaining access, you don't have to actually create something from scratch. But there are other people who are, let's say, Steve Jobs. He noticed that people needed this smartphone thing. We didn't know what a smartphone was. He created the smartphone from scratch. So you can create something from scratch, or you can obtain access to something that other people have. Uber, they obtain access to people's empty seats in their cars, even though Uber never created a single car. So number 2 is create or obtain access to the solution to that need from point number 1. And then number 3, you must negotiate an exchange between your solution and the person who has the problem. The negotiating exchange, in other words, is known as selling. So Uber says, all right, you're on the west side of town. You want to get to the east side of town. It's going to cost you $17. All right, you pay the $17 through the app. We'll send a car. That car will drive you to the other side of town. If you agree, then you pay the $17. The driver gets whatever they get. Uber gets the 20% cut. You get to the other side of town. Win, win, win situation. That is how you become an entrepreneur. Identify a need, obtain access to the solution or create it, and then you must negotiate an exchange, i.e. you must sell that solution. So that is my strongest and most significant piece of advice for being an entrepreneur. When it comes to creating a strong brand, understand what branding is. It comes from in the farming days when a farmer would brand their name or their logo on the hides of their cattle, just in case, and the reason was just in case that cattle got loose or somebody stole one of their cows. Everybody can see the brand on the ass of the cow and say, oh, that's Farmer Jones's cow. So branding that idea, burning it into the hide of that person. So for you, anyone out there who's looking to build a brand, you want to burn an idea into other people's heads. And I want you to remember something about burning an idea into people's heads is that you can't try to give them too many things. As a matter of fact, you don't want to give them even 2 things. You want to give them 1 thing. What's 1 thing you want people to remember about you? Not 10, not 30, not 2, not 4. 1 thing. What's 1 thing you know about me? Work on your game. Everybody knows Dre Baldwin. Work on your game. Work on your game, Dre Baldwin. Now, do I do a lot of things? Yeah, I play basketball. I write books. I've done TED Talks. I got a podcast. I do a lot of other things. I coach people who are entrepreneurs. I work with people who are athletes. I'm talking to a room full of high school students in an entrepreneurship class. There's a lot of different things that I do. But if I can only burn 1 thing on your brain, it's going to be that 4-word phrase, work on your game. Now, if you want to know more about what I do, then you can come into my world and you can learn about it. But a lot of times when it comes to building a brand, people are trying to do too many things. And I don't mean too many like TOO, too many. I mean TWO, too many things. You're trying to do more than 1 thing. You are killing the opportunity to establish your brand. People need to know you for 1 thing. You can expand from there. Again, I'm not saying you can only do 1 thing. You need to be known for 1 thing. What is Steve Jobs known for? That phone. What's Elon Musk known for? I guess we would say Tesla. Maybe some people know him for SpaceX. But what is he known for? I would say generally actually he's known as a guy who just takes these moonshot ideas and actually tries to make them happen. That's what he's known for. And then underneath that, he has these things that he's done and whatever he's going to do moving forward into the future. Serena Williams is known for what? Tennis. Now, is she bigger? Is it more to her than just tennis? Of course. But what is she known for? She's known for tennis. Tiger Woods, what is he known for? Golf. Now, is there more to him as a man than just golf? Of course. He would say, I'm a father, I'm a child, I have family, I got all these other things going on, I'm a philanthropist, I'm a businessman. Yeah, we know Tiger, but what do we really know you for? What's your brand? The fact that you play golf. All right, so what is the thing that you want to own in other people's minds? Keep it very, very simple and limit yourself to one thing. That is the most important piece of advice I can give anyone for building a brand. Don't try to be more than one thing to anyone, because people do not have the capacity to remember any more than one thing about you. So for me, one thing I'm always going to give you is work on your game. If you follow my Instagram story every day, notice something. The first thing I post every morning and the last thing I post every morning always has work on your game on it. All right, that is not an accident. So that's the strongest piece of advice there. So we'll stop right there. And then tomorrow, I think we will knock out the rest of these. We got questions 35 through 40, and that'll be the end of this. So we'll keep it the 6 volumes instead of 7 volumes, answering the questions from Prairie High's entrepreneurship class. These are good questions. I hope you're all enjoying this. And if you haven't yet claimed your free copy of my book, The Mirror of Motivation, go to mirrorofmotivation.com, mirrorofmotivation.com. I have already paid for the book. All you do is cover a small shipping charge. I will ship it to you worldwide. Doesn't matter where you live. We got airplanes, trains, envelopes, all that these days. So again, mirrorofmotivation.com. Work on your game. Dre, all